Sziasztok! Ez az őszintén órákról, lélekben Dáviddal, fizikailag pedig velem, ugyanis egy rendhagyó epizódban lehet ma részletek. Nem sokkal a Watches and Wonders előtt volt szerencsém részt venni az Alpine sportautógyártónak és a Moser óragyártónak a közös rendezvényén Budapesten, és lehetőségem volt egy interjú készítésére a Moser ügyvezetőjével, tulajdonosával és fő reklámarcával, Edouard Meylannal. Elég régóta nyomon követem a Mosernek a fejlődését, és nekem az egyik kedvenc független óra manufaktúrám, ugyanis az a fajta könnyedség és az a fajta flegmaság, amivel a svájci óraipar összes beismert vagy nem beismert hazugságával és ködölésével szembeállnak, az példátlan, nem csak hogy egy ilyen kis gyártótól, hanem bárkitől a svájci óraiparban. Edouard és családja 2012-ben vette át a Mosert, és az első nagy durranás a Swiss Alp Watch volt, ami úgy nézett ki, mint egy Apple Watch, csak teljesen mechanikus volt. Utána következett a pasztörizált sajttokba készült Swiss Made Watch, ami szintén a Swiss made-séget kifigurázó alkotás lett, mégis teljes mértékben svájci. Nem sokkal utána elkészítették a Swiss Icons Watch-ot, amit nem tudtak túl sokáig a kollekcióban tartani, ugyanis bizonyos svájci márkák óriási felhördülése miatt kénytelenek voltak törölni a kollekcióból. És ezek mellett még számos olyan húzásuk vagy reklámkampányuk volt, amivel megpróbáltak odaszúrni az egyébként, hogy is mondjam, a szép lassan, komótosan lépegető svájci óraiparnak. A videó alatti leírásba összeszedtem néhány linket, amit érdemes megnézni ahhoz, hogy a Moserrel kapcsolatban minden háttérinformációval rendelkezzetek. Nekem hatalmas élmény volt ez a beszélgetés, mert egy rendkívül jelentős személyiségének tartom őt a jelenlegi svájci óraiparnak, és nagyon nagyra értékelem azt, amit ők csinálnak. Mivel egy nagyon fontos dolog az, hogy olyan dolgokba egy svájci cég álljon bele, amit a svájci óraipar tart folyamatosan sűrű ködben. Ez is szóba fog kerülni. Jó szórakozást!
A kronometer.hu bemutatja Őszintén órákról.
So we are now, because of the h.moser became a sponsor of the Alpine Formula One team,
Yeah.
right? But we will talk about this later. Have you been a watch guy before you became the CEO of h.moser?
Yeah, I am born in the watchmaking industry. Actually, my last name Meylannal is also watch brands. I grew up in the Vallée de Joux, so you know many big brands are based there. My father worked for AP many years. He worked for Cartier, GLC. I have a lot of cousins and friends working for all the big manufacturers. So yeah, I was born in watchmaking.
You know, the MELB, holding the MELB, is an acronym, right?
Yes, it stands for Meylannal, Edouard, myself,
Yeah.
Leonore, my sister, and Bertrand, my brother. So it's a family holding, and we own Moser. We own Haute-Lance, the second brand. We own Precision Engineering. We own a few investments in the watch industry. Yeah.
What was your plans with h.moser when the group acquired it in 2012?
Well, obviously, we found this brand that was struggling, and we thought we can do something with it. I think there's an amazing heritage. There was a nice manufacturer, a few amazing movements like the perpetual calendar back then, but they had a lot of financial issues and I would say quality, reliability issues, and we thought we could fix that. It was a big challenge, to be honest, but I think we did it, and Moser is now really shining, if I may say.
Yeah, there are plenty of great watches you made in the last decade.
Yeah.
Perpetual calendars, I think the cleanest perpetual calendars with the
yes. Most minimalist.
Yes,
it's part of our philosophy. You know, we any function we try to go to the essence. I love to say we try to say, okay, what in that particular complication is necessary for the user, and everything is not necessary we remove. And that was the first one was the perpetual calendar, and then we did the same thing with the miniature repeater, with the chronograph, with many other complications.
How you see, is the brand in the position you thought a decade ago that will be in 2024, for example?
I had no idea what we were going to do, to be honest, 10 years ago. I knew I wanted to make it fresher, to be more. I mean, I was 36 when I became CEO. This was my brother, quite a young team. We were like trying to find ways to make it fresh, relevant, because it was a little bit of a dusty brand when we took over, and that was definitely something that right away I wanted to do, but I had no idea how big it would become, what kind of products we would create, what kind of tone of voice we would use to communicate. That all came by trying and doing, and suddenly something works and you continue, and something doesn't work and then you learn from it.
Yeah. You had really fresh and how to say extreme commercial campaigns.
True.
With your watches. What was the point? I mean, I guess what was the point? What was the point in your mind that you wanted to do something different than the...
Well, of course, but at the same time, it was very natural. It was there were topics we wanted to talk about. And probably you refer to connected watches, like when we created the Apple.
The first one was the Swiss Med watch for me.
Okay, but that was after the Swiss Alp watch. So
really?
First we did the Swiss Alp, then we came with the Swiss Mad. And always because there was a topic, and then we just said, okay, if we just talk about it, nobody is going to listen. So we need to create something that is a little bit provocative, so it strikes people, so that it becomes something people want to talk about, or at least discuss and create, discussions between each other. So that's an approach that we had. The first idea for us was really to express our opinion. And then if we could gain brand awareness from that, obviously that was a bonus, and it worked. And then we saw it working with the first campaigns, and we said, let's continue and try to make it a little bit of a tradition at Moser. And suddenly it became a bit of our trademark, our tone of voice, and that helped us a lot emancipate as a brand. I like to say that a brand is a little bit like a human being. It becomes a little bit like a child, and then you become a teenager. You need to play a little bit with the elbows, and then you become more mature. And I think we're slowly getting into that phase where we're more mature, but at the same time, I don't want to lose this cheekiness, this maverick aspect of the brand, because I think it appeals to a lot of people. And I think there's still a lot of things you can talk about and not take yourself too seriously, and at the same time create a brand that is extremely respectful.
Was the Swiss Alp watch harsh enough? Or the Swiss Med watch was a bit much more harsh in the media or in the watch industry?
It really depends on the perspective.
Okay.
I think on any of those subjects, it was controversial. There were tensions with people loving it and people hating it. But I love to say that we create watches in very small quantities, so I don't need to please everyone. If some people hate what we do, there's tons of other brands they can go and buy, and please do. But if you like Moser, I hope you become a fan, and so you really love and understand why we're doing this, and then that's good enough for us. We don't need to please everyone. We rather be extreme and therefore talk and create like a very strong base of people who love what we do, but they're fans, because we're talking about high-level products, very expensive, and if you just like the brand or like the product, are you going to spend 20, 30, 40,000 euros? Probably not. But if you're like a crazy fan because you agree on what we're talking about, you like the fact that we're provocative and have a certain sense of humor, then maybe you will. So that's why we don't care. I mean, every now and then we have people really upset and don't like what we do, and they say that's stupid, and fine.
That's why you had to cancel the Swiss Icons watch after 2 days?
Yeah, that was not because of the customers. I think most of them loved it. I think it was more about certain other brands that didn't understand what we were trying to do. That was a mistake on our side, to be honest. I think we didn't explain it properly. We were stuck into our things, thinking we're super cool and it worked the previous year, so it's going to work again. And then we didn't check with anybody, and they were like, yeah, this is what we want to do. Who cares what the others think? And then we went for it, and then it backfired. But it was not the community. The community was like, you guys are crazy. I love it.
Yeah, exactly.
It was more the other brands which are like, you're crazy. We should get rid of you.
Because of copyright infringements or just the ethics?
I think it's more about talking about things that people don't want customers to know about.
Yeah.
Where you talk about the true value of products, there are a lot of brands that don't like it. When you say that certain brands are only about marketing and it's bullshit, they don't do anything, they're fabulous. A lot of brands, they don't do anything. They don't create, they don't produce, they don't develop. That's what we wanted to express, saying true traditional watchmaking is about craftsmanship, it's about the people behind, it's about doing it yourself. I mean, we create hairsprings, we produce hairsprings, for example, for ourselves, for about 30, 35 clients. That's what I believe in. That's what I wanted to express. I didn't do it properly, probably, and even brands that are extremely integrated didn't like it because they didn't get it. But that's not because, I think it's because we didn't express it properly.
Do you have any piece of the Swiss Icons watch at the manufacturer?
Oh yeah, it still exists. It's
So
in our...
So it's in a museum and anyone can see?
We have a box of music. It's called the museum box, where we have all those crazy watches in one box. So we have the Moser, the Swiss Alp watch, the Swiss Mad watch, the Moser Nature watch, the Swiss Icons watch, the first concept watch, the Swiss. What else we have? We have the second. We have the tutorial, like all those crazy ideas.
What's up now with the Swiss Nature watch? So now
there's two versions of it. There's a plastic version, so that it still
which
looks
is really green, yeah.
And there's the one that is a little bit dry, but still exists. Fortunately, it's not growing anymore.
Okay, when you think about the commercials, any kind of commercials that you made in the last decade, whose ideas are these commercials? Mostly yours, or you have a creative...
I would say the first 5-6 years it was pretty much mine, and then
so the most craziest.
With the team. Well, the concept, I mean, the idea, what I want to talk about, what kind of product, and the movie or the base of the movie was my ideas. And then as we grew, I think the team became more and more coherent. So we had the same kind of perspective.
But not with an agency.
Not with
just
an
like
agency.
You figure it out.
Now we work more and more with agencies. Like we created. We let our watchers do the talking. That's with an agency, for example. It's our idea. Well, it's kind of a mixed idea between the two.
Let the people decide which one of us is the best complication.
I like that idea.
Shh! Someone's coming.
So that's Edouard. I've heard he's quite high maintenance.
Look who's talking.
But we need agencies to do qualitative stuff. Before it was kind of almost like with your iPhone doing the movies and stuff. Now we cannot do that anymore.
Of course, because you're growing.
Maybe we should, but we don't.
Were there any bad voices about the commercial when you talked about the other old brands commercials, you know, when you give your watch to your son and so on, you know, where you go to the agency and figure out that?
I am Edouard Meylannal, CEO of h.moser et compagnie. I'm here looking for a campaign for our new Pioneer watch collection. So I'm meeting a top-notch Parisian agency. But let's see what they've got. The guy explains what he's come up with. He seems very excited. His idea is that you don't buy a Pioneer for yourself. You buy it for your son. He talks about a man who's worked hard, succeeding through his own blood, sweat and tears, who decides to leave his most treasured possession, his Pioneer, to his son. Wait a minute. Pass on my watch to my son, Tom? No, he's not getting my Pioneer. Come on, guys. Such a cliché.
Edouard, tout va bien?
Some people thought like we're going after Patek. I mean, we have a lot of respect for Patek, for all those big brands.
And from these brands?
No. I think, especially Patek, I think is way above that. I think they have a lot of respect for other brands. They don't take it personal. Again, it was more about looking at making fun of agencies that are pitching the same thing. They all want to pitch. It's an amazing idea. The idea for Patek. It's just, it's been used.
Yes.
So stop talking about this and try to sell to every brand.
Exactly.
So that was our point. It's not about going after Patek. I mean, of course, it's a great campaign. Otherwise, they wouldn't be where they are.
Yeah.
So our I would say what we were attacking was more the way certain agencies come to us and pitch the same ideas all the time. And you're like, come on, we need to be different. I cannot. If I, as Moser, play on that field against a brand like Patek, I have no chance. I'm not going to sell anything because everybody will choose Patek over Moser because it's well known, it's established, there's a history, blah, blah, blah. That's what I experienced when I started with Moser. You would have two watches here, very similar. You would have a Patek and a Moser. 99.9% of the people will pick the Patek. Even if they believe that the intrinsic value is stronger in Moser, they will take Patek because it's been there, it will be there. They feel more confident buying a brand like this one.
Yes,
so we need to be different.
Until they realize the content of the brand.
Yeah. But that's the personality of the brand. That's what's behind it.
That's why you need brand awareness.
Exactly.
Yes.
But you cannot do it by playing on the same field as the others. You need to find your own field.
Yes. Do you think Swiss made will be great again?
I think it has the potential to be great again if we come together as an industry and work on it. I think as it is today, there's still too many brands trying to find the limit, and
the 60% exactly.
Exactly.
Yeah. And what do you think?
Our industry still needs to wants to push boundaries, protect craftsmanship. It's very important to protect craftsmanship. Continue to have people who can do enamel dials, people who can do hand engraving, people who can
guillotine dials.
All those kind of things. Otherwise, it's going to be lost or made by robots. Doesn't work. If once it's like that, then it can be made in any other country.
What do you think? How many percent should be needed as Swiss made quality? 100?
To be honest,
or 80 or 90?
To be honest, I think what we should do is make different kind of labels, and maybe there should be a label for 100% Swiss. Maybe there should be a label for 20% Swiss. Maybe it's good for certain brands. I don't know. I'm just saying this is what I don't like about the Swiss made. It's not the fact that there's a Swiss made, and it's not the fact that it's 60%. It's the fact that it's not transparent.
Okay.
Most of the collectors, and that's what we realized when we made the Swiss made watch, most of the collectors, the biggest collectors, they had no idea what Swiss made means. In their mind, it means it's a 100% Swiss made watch, the Swiss made in Switzerland.
Yes.
Which is not. Today you can still produce pretty much all the parts of a movement in the Far East, assemble in Switzerland, and it's a Swiss made watch.
And put a Swiss hairspring, for example, or an escapement, and you are fine.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's what I think. It's just the fact that we're not more transparent about it.
What do you think? Which percentage of the Swiss-made watch manufacturers should have close if FHH changed the rule to 80%, for example?
I think we are an industry that adapts, so they would adapt.
Yeah, extremely fast.
I mean,
from a day to another.
What is the best performing segment at the moment for the Swiss watch industry? It's the highest, right? Yeah. We produce less and less watches year over year, but more and more expensive.
That's true.
So I think the future is still up there, and therefore reinforcing Swiss made is maybe not a bad thing.
How many watches you manufacture in a year?
So last year a little bit more than 3,000, and this year a little bit less than 4,000.
What's your target in 10 years?
We don't have a clear target. I think we continue to grow as we can, but being very careful about the demand. So for me, the first element is to make sure that we continue to grow the brand awareness, the attractiveness, the relevance of the brand. And then if we do a good job there, then capacity should follow. Yeah.
Are you still planning to make crazy creations?
Of course, but when it's right. I don't want to force it. So for example, Watches and Wonders this year, there's no crazy watch. There's great watches and we have a great campaign, but we don't have like a crazy watch. But we have a few projects. It has to come at the right time. So at the moment we don't have something like this because we have too many projects in parallel, but maybe next year.
Last year, why you were in Bucharest? Why not in the...
So we didn't want to be at Watches and Wonders. We were like, I mean, everything is crazy at the moment, too much demand, why go and do this? And then Buchor, who is a good partner, said, if you're not at Watches and Wonders, for free, you can come and present your watches. And
yes.
So the sales team went there and they did that, and it was okay. It was a good event, but it's not Watches and Wonders. But what we came to realize is that Watches and Wonders is really the Wonder Week, where our industry comes together, they present the products, the real people from the watch industry are there, the brands take the time to engage with people and come as an ecosystem over there, and we believe it's our responsibility to be part of it. Same thing Rolex and Patek. I mean, not that we compare ourselves with those two brands. Rolex and Patek don't have to be at Watches and Wonders to sell watches. I mean, they just, the demand is such that
they're just there because they had to present.
Why do they there? Because they want to support our industry, because they're part of that ecosystem. And that's what we realized talking to those people, and we said, yeah, that's smart. I think we have a certain responsibility as a brand, and therefore we're going to be part of it, and that's why we're coming back this year.
Last year when I was at the Bucharest, maybe on Saturday, I saw the novelties and I saw a group of collectors at the big table. Okay. And they wore F. Bijourne, rare Patek Philippe, and so on. But I saw the spark in their eyes when they saw the novelties of Moser. I think that what you said, that the collectors realize what is this brand about, and they realize that these are good pieces, and they became a fan, a real fan, not just okay, I bought a Moser, that's okay, but they want more.
That was before, before the reaction was like, oh, you know, probably we have to have one Moser, so I buy a perpetual. And
before you acquired?
Yeah. And that's it. Now we have people who have, I don't know, even in Hungary, we have people with 3, 4, 5, 6 different.
Usually when I have a watch service, and when anyone came by and they had the story that they want to buy a Rolex, but for 2 years and 3 years, and it's just a Submariner, and I always tell them, please check Moser, because it's just a bit more pricey. I mean, for example, Pioneer maybe 15,000, much more of a watch.
Well, and less quantities. I mean, a Pioneer 40mm or 42.8, maybe we do 200 a year, whereas Rolex makes
200 Pioneers a year.
Of a specific model.
Okay.
So I think in terms of quantity, that's makes it pretty rare. And
yes, that's true.
That's good, and that's why we're excited to be here as well. It's an interesting market. We have really big friends of the brands here, and some of them are here and help us organize this event. And I think it's important to get more people to know it, to discover, to try our watches.
Do you have any distributors in Hungary?
No. But we have a distributor which is taking care of this region. So David, big guy you saw before, they are in charge. So at the moment we take care of our clients directly, and that works really well. With the quantities we have, we actually don't need a retailer. We need a presence in the region with people that are active, doing events like this, engaging to the customers. We had quite a few coming already to the manufacturer. They order their watch, they come and visit Switzerland, come to the manufacturer, we have a nice lunch, and they pick up their watch. I think that's the experience that a brand like Moser can offer to the customers.
Is it an open factory? So if anyone who likes your brand makes a phone call or an email, makes an appointment, and can go there and watch
you need to reserve it.
Of course, yes,
show
of course.
up at the door.
Yes,
but
I guess.
if you take contact with Cedric in my team, you organize that. Yeah.
What is your favorite watch in the collection? Not from these 4, but at all.
Overall, I mean, it changed all the time. At the moment, I'm super excited about the Streamliners, small second micro rotor with the enamel dial. That's the one I'm wearing. I used to wear a lot the Streamliner rose gold Vanta Black Tourbillon. It's a beautiful watch. I'm a big fan of the perpetual tantalum Endeavor. I mean, I create watches that I want to wear. So in the end, it's difficult to pick one. I mean, all those watches, when we create them, it's to wear them. So
when I first saw the Vanta Black dial, I'm in love with the Vanta Black color. You didn't use any kind of anti-reflex coating. It was in Basel.
There was only on the back side, not on the front side.
In the first versions too, because I think
it was a big cover curved sapphire. That's why there's always a little bit of reflection. And the problem with Vanta Black, there will always be a reflection.
Yeah, because I think it's not as glossy as the first one
because of the curve.
Okay.
But it's a two-sided anti-reflection, but there's always going to be a little bit of reflection.
Okay. What was your first watch?
In my life or at Moser?
In your life.
So my first mechanical watch was a Lemania that my father gave me, or my parents gave me, when I was probably 8. And I remember being, I'm not going to say disappointed, but it was this time where in my generation you would send like photos to be developed and printed, and then you would get sometimes the pictures back, and they would give you a gift. And usually it was a Casio digital watch. And all my friends had those Casio digital watches, and suddenly I had to wear this this small gray
it was from the 50s,
watch.
Maybe.
It was probably from the 60s.
Okay.
I don't know when it was from.
Lemania.
Blue hands, and I lost it. But that was really the first one, and I regret it because I still see it in my head. But I just remember being like, why do I have to wear this thing when everybody has? I mean, at that point, it was the first digital watches, so it was like in the 70s, early 80s. It was the time when that was super cool to have that.
And what was the first that you bought for yourself?
Actually, I almost never bought any watches for myself. I bought just when I started with Moser, I bought the Jung Hans Max Bill because I liked that very minimalistic design. And as I joined Moser, I wanted to bring an example of what I wanted to do with our design. And so I went to my team and I said, listen, I want to bring this minimalism that Max Bill managed to do with and some of the Junghans designs, very Germanic. And that's the first one I bought. And then I bought a few of the small independent brands. But I never bought a lot because my father worked with AP. So I had to wear a few APs. I was very lucky to wear APs since I was 18 or 19 when he offered me a Royal Oak in tantalum. Reason why we have the tantalum now. Yeah. That was my graduation watch, and then since then I pretty much always wore AP until I moved to Moser.
Do you still have these watches?
Of course.
Okay.
But I never wear them.
Okay. So you saw the, how to say, flatness of the Audemars Piguet, for example.
Yeah. So you mean the flatness in terms of the depth
of the collection? Yeah.
Not about the product.
Yeah, because for example, that time they had the Jules Audemars, the Meylannal. Yes, exactly. But now they don't have anything else, just the code and the Royal Oak, anything. Was it a kind of motivation for you as you saw the Audemars Piguet going?
I wanted to have a well-rounded brand. I think it's great to have the Royal Oak. But it's a curse as well. And I saw it when my father was working there. They always tried to have other things. So with Moser, we started with very classic, elegant watches like this. Yeah. And then came the Streamliner. And I thought, you never know how the cycles of the industry. We might go back to something very classic at some point. So I think it's important to stay balanced. Also, producing Streamliners is very complex, especially the bracelet. So I didn't want to be a one-trick pony. I didn't want to be a brand that only sells Streamliner on steel bracelet, because you never know what's in there for the future. So that's why, for example, when we introduced the cylindrical tourbillon skeleton, we put it in the Pioneer because we wanted to show how important those different collections are. So we have 3 main collections: Endeavor, Pioneer, Streamliner, and then we have the Heritage as the third one. But it's very important to me to try to be 30% on the top 3 and 10% on the last one.
I think you say that you make very classy watches or classical watches, but I think there is a twist. I mean, it's a really important twist. For example, here in the side of the case and on the side of the lugs, both collections.
Yeah, we always call them the classic with a twist. So it's a right word.
I think this is
they
really
need to be relevant for our generation, for a younger generation. That's why you have like kudu band, funky blue colors,
and that's why it cannot be a Blancpain.
Exactly.
Which is,
I don't want to compare to any other brand, but
okay.
But we try to be more of this, bring this sexiness, this relevance for young collectors who don't want to watch from their father. And that's a little bit what we were saying in that ad you were talking about.
Yes.
Actually, you buy a watch for yourself. You don't buy it for the next generation. You want to wear it.
Yes,
I want to wear my watch. I hope my kids will love it. But frankly, I'm not going to choose a watch because I hope my son will wear that watch. I want to wear a watch that is for me. And hopefully I can hand it over to him and he will like it. And if he doesn't, then he may as well sell it and buy something that he likes. But I'm not going to speculate on the taste of kids in 10 years from now or 20 years from now.
Yeah, that's great. How successful is the Streamliner collection?
The Streamliner collection has been, I would say, a game changer. Moser really started accelerating in 2018. We started to see like, okay, now people realize how much value there is in independent brands. And we were probably one of the first because we were one of the most prominent at the moment. And then when 2020 we introduced the Streamliner, then since then it's been crazy. I think it attracted a new crowd. I think it gave more legitimacy to the brand. And I think it's a design that is very different from the Nautilus and the Royal Oak, and some people are getting tired of. I mean, how many Royal Oaks? I mean, there's almost like now every baker around the world has a limited edition on his name. I mean, they're doing so many. It's a little bit of what Hublot was doing at some point, like limited edition, limited, and then for this, for that. I think at some point, how many can you have? I mean, you're not going to have. I mean, some do, but our idea was to create something that is unique and try to be very protected about this collection. So we had the Streamliner green, we had the center second green, then we had the chrono blue, then we have the salmon gray. Trying to be very limited, very focused, and to do a little bit the opposite of that, rather than starting doing limited editions over limited editions over limited editions. When you're a big brand, you shouldn't do that many limited editions. I think it's not exactly the way to stimulate. You shouldn't be stimulating demand by creating limited editions.
Yeah.
You should stimulate demand by creating awareness and relevance of the brand.
Yes. Two last questions because we are running out of time. Do you think the Swiss watch industry should be afraid of the Chinese watch industry? So the Swiss brands took enough manufacturing processes to China to be afraid of the Chinese manufacturers in the next 10 years on any level?
Well, always on the entry level, I think it's definitely a good question. You should always be careful. I think you need to be careful what you export. If it's basic parts, it's okay. If you start sharing things that are too close to your core identity as a brand, then you take the risk of being copied or people getting inspired and starting doing something similar.
And the quality that the Chinese can make?
It's incredible, yeah, of course. But at the same time, I think that's what I said before, is if we continue to focus on real intrinsic value of craftsmanship and those kind of things, I think there's still a lot of value in
so this can save the Swiss watch industry?
It always did. So I'm
that's true.
Eternal positive that I think it will. And I think, again, the power of brands like Rolex, like Patek, like AP definitely helps us as an industry. We need those leaders. We need them to take the right decisions because they are at the forefront and they dictate what the Swiss industry is. We're followers as a small independent. We bring creativity, innovation, but I think we all need each other. So we need big brands to be strong and powerful and protect, I would say, our ecosystem, and not too many brands that just because they want to increase margin outsource or export too much abroad, because there's a risk of eventually getting people to copy. I mean, Swiss people started by copying or by supplying, right? I mean, it was England, first it was China, then it went England, France, then the Swiss, who were like supplying parts, they became the masters of the art.
Yes.
History repeats itself. It could go to somewhere else at some point.
Yeah. Is China an important market for h.moser?
It's a strategic, but it's not an important. It's strategic in the sense that...
Not the most strong.
No, it's a small market because we're quite young there, but it's doing very well.
And they like the traditions.
But for the future, we think there's still a lot of potential for independent brands. And we think we are helping independents by being very active there. We have an office, we have boutiques, and we're doing very well. People discover more and more Moser and then other independent brands. I think that's good because there's a bright future there.
What was the motivation in sponsoring
the partnership with Alpine? So again, I think it's a question of opportunity. I mean, they came to us recently because they are trying to reposition Alpine as a more luxury brand. I grew up seeing Alpine in the garage. My father has two Alpine. He has an historical one and a new one. So when they came, I was like, oh my God, this is crazy. And why are they coming to us? I mean, how come does the big group know us? Then I found out that the big boss of Renault is a fan of Moser. And he hinted that they should be working with us. So I look at our brand, and then I look at Alpine as like the underdogs in the industry of kind of sporty cars and
light sports
with
cars.
A nice history and pushing boundaries. They like stripped everything to make a very performing. They had amazing successes, and then we thought it's a little bit like our story, right? So there's tons of experience that we can do together.
Yeah.
It will definitely help brand awareness because Formula One is so popular. A lot of experiences for our customers that we bring to Grand Prix. We help them go and learn how to drive a Formula One, or we can go on ice driving on Alpine cars, and all that convinced us that there's a great opportunity to work with them. And just the journey, being with them as they reconstruct themselves towards the objective of being one of the best F1 team, for example, is exciting. Yeah. It's difficult at the moment, but I told them, I said, wow. They said, yeah, dude, don't worry, it's going to be better. I'm like, I'm not worried. I went through that with Moser, and I will enjoy even more the successes because we have touched the bottom. So I'm super excited with this experience.
So you're not disappointed of the bad performance of...
No, I mean, it's nicer to watch a Formula One Grand Prix when they're not at the last, but I think they're slowly getting better. It was more disappointing for my kids and some of my colleagues because, we have IWC next door. Yeah. So there's always a bit of competition. And when Mercedes is doing better than Alpine, of course, for my colleagues, it's like, oh, we want to beat Mercedes. But we will at some point, so it's going to be even more exciting when it happens. But also it's a partnership that is way beyond Formula One. It's really like even the cars that we have behind there. We are developing elements to put in the cars. We have engineers, we're sharing engineers to develop instruments together. I mean, it's really the entire motorsport ecosystem of Alpine that we are partnering with. We have programs where we can exchange engineers and stuff like that. It's super exciting for us, for our team, for our partners. It's fun.
Have you had a discussion anytime with the IWC that h.moser gave the first industry building to F.A. Jones when he arrived too?
But they know it because they have it in their original books. I think they removed it since, but of course they know.
So they are proud of it. I mean, they don't want to hide it.
I'm not sure it's in the book at the moment. Okay. It used to be in the book, but if you go to the IWC main headquarters, the main entrance is on the h.moser Park with the statue of h.moser, so they cannot miss it. But again, we have a lot of respect for IWC. Moser wouldn't exist without IWC, and IWC wouldn't exist without Moser.
Yes, that's true.
Of course, today they could, but in the origin, Moser helped. And today it helps us a lot, because without watchmakers from IWC, with the ecosystem of IWC, which is way bigger than us, we couldn't be in Schaffhausen. And therefore, we really are respectful of IWC.
Yeah. Thank you very much for the interview.
My pleasure.
We have to go because you will have a roundtable discussion in a few minutes.
Yes.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Köszönjük, hogy velünk tartottatok. Bízom benne, hogy élveztétek a beszélgetést, legalább annyira, mint én az interjú elkészítését. A véleményeteket és a kérdéseiteket szívesen látjuk a videó alatti komment szekcióban. Találkozunk jövő hét szerdán 19:30-kor, akkor már Dáviddal kiegészülve. Sziasztok!
A műsort támogatta
So join us to make Swiss made great again.
Yahoo!